Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So here we're going to do a complete walkthrough and breakthrough of the Cambridge IGCSE paper. In particular, this is from the October-November 2018 sitting. And this is paper 2 but variant 1. So if you're not sure which one this is, always check the script at the end. You'll have various ones which could be 21, 22 and 23. So always check your region, but I personally recommend that you do every single version. Okay? But anyway, without further ado, let's go straight in. Alright, first question. So Carlos starts work at 21:20 and finishes at 06:15 the next day. Calculate how long Carlos is at work. Now this one is very straightforward. All you simply need is a number line, and the best way to go about this is to always calculate the time to the next hour, and then to midnight, and then to 6, and then finally 6:15. So let's do this, yeah? So from here we're at 21:20. To go to the next hour, it will be 2200, and that takes exactly 40 minutes. And then from 2200, let's go to midnight, which is 0000. And remember, there's always a 24-hour clock, so this takes 2 hours. Then we go from this to 600, so 0600, that takes 6 hours. And lastly, we go from here to 06:15, okay, and that takes 15 minutes. And now adding up all the time lengths, we will start with the hours first. So 2 hours plus 6 hours is 8 hours. And then 40 minutes plus 15 minutes is 55 minutes. That's it, done. Now, number 2. In the diagram, AB equals AC and then BN equals NC. So by default, this is most likely an isosceles triangle, yeah? Complete the statement using a mathematical term. So triangle ABN, so from this side here is something to triangle ACN. Now if you look at both of these sides, they have the same lengths all around, so we can definitely say that these two triangles must be identical. But you can't use the word identical. Another word that has the same meaning as identical is congruent. Now congruent is literally another word for identical, and that's all you need to know. Okay, never use the word similar, because similar literally means it's proportionally bigger. So this is one triangle. A similar triangle would be something like this, with the exact same proportional lengths. Okay, so this would just be a scale factor of something else, of the other triangle. So number 3. What type of correlation does the scatter diagram show? So a trend that is useful to remember is that if you're going downwards, then this is a negative correlation. There's other possible correlations such as the positive, which shoots upwards, meaning for instance, as time goes up, energy consumption goes up. Or there's something known as no correlation, where you can't figure out what's happening to the data. This case is clear. As time goes up, energy drops, so it's definitely negative. Okay, number 4. Work out this standard form sum and give your answer in standard form. Okay, so in this case, literally just smash this in the calculator. So you've got 6.4 times 10 to the power 7. And make sure you can put the bracket as well. I wouldn't bother changing anything they write. Now, some calculators will give you the full answer. My calculator gives me a result of 736, and I get about 5 zeros. To write an answer in standard form, it's always going to be one digit, point something. So in this case, it would be 7 point and then 36 times 10 to the power something. Now to work out what the power is, it's just the number of digits after the main digit 7. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 digits, so it'll be 10 to the power 7. Okay, number 5. Expand and simplify this double bracket. To do this kind of double brackets, all you do is simply use the FOIL method, which tells us that we multiply every single term with each other. So 3x with 2x, and 3x with 9, and then minus 7 with 2x, and minus 7 with 9. And if you do that step by step, so doing the top halves first, you got 3x times 2x is 6x squared, 3x times 9 is plus 27x, and then minus 7x plus 2x is minus 14x. Lastly, minus 7 times 9, minus 63. And then collect any like terms, and by the way, it's always the middle two terms. 27x minus 14x is 13x. So your final answer is going to be 6x squared plus 13x minus 63. Easy. Now, number 6. So the bearing of A from B is 227 degrees. So what this means is that at point B, where you're facing directly north, the bearing is always the angle from the north line, okay? So it's traveling from B, an angle of 227 degrees to A. That's what bearing is. You always look at the from B part to A. Now, the next bit is find the bearing of B from A. So we start at A, draw a north sign because we always draw a north arrow. And we go from A and we're going to go clockwise to B. So one thing I forgot to mention, you always travel clockwise, yeah? So now we just work out what this angle is. Well, if we know what this angle is, 227 degrees, we can work out the interior angle here. Because what we need to know is that all angles around the point adds up to 360. So what we could do is subtract 227 from 360 to work out this angle here. And this will give us 133 degrees. And therefore, if this is 133, we can realize that these two angles sum up to make 180 degrees. So this is a type of, what's it called, allied angles, okay, in this format. So it's always two parallel lines, let's say A and B, and this sum up to make 180 degrees. So we can subtract 180 from 133 to get 47 degrees. And therefore, the answer is going to be here, 47 degrees. And by the way, because you're working a bearing, it has to be 3 digits. So it'll be 047. Okay? Okay, number 7. Y is inversely proportional to x cubed. Okay, keyword here is proportional. This is represented by something known as equals k, some scale factor, yeah? So we can say that as an equation, this would be y is proportional equals k to the inverse of x cubed. So k over x cubed. That's what the inverse is. If it was directly proportional, it would be k times x cubed. So that's what they want us to do. Now the next line is, when x equals 2, y is 0.5. Let's go ahead and plug this in so we can find the value k. So we can have y, which is 0.5, equals k over 2 cubed. Now to find k, just times 2 cubed across. So you go 0.5 times 2 cubed equals k. And then putting on your calculator, you're simply going to get 4. So k equals 4. Now this is good because the question wants us to find y in terms of x. Well, we had it over here, but the problem is you had the letter k. So now you know k is 4. It's going to be y equals 4 over x cubed. And that's the equation they want. Okay, number 8. Safia has a barrel containing 6,000 milliliters of oil, correct to 100 milliliters. Okay, before we move on, when they say something like correct to some measurement, it means that this value has definitely been rounded up or down. Now we need to have some sort of bounds because that's what this is about. So the best way to do this is to look at the nearest 100 bit and then cross it out and write half of 100, which is plus minus 50. So that means the barrel could have contained something which was 50 above or 50 below, and that has a difference of 100. So that's what the nearest 100 could be. So we can say that the upper bound of the barrel would be 6,000 plus 50, which is 6 over 50, and the lower bound would be 6,000 minus 50, which would be 5,950. Okay, so far so good. Next line. She uses the oil to fill bottles which each hold exactly 50 milliliters. Alright. Calculate the upper bound for the number of bottles she can fill. So upper bound means you want to pick the bigger value and see how much you can exactly fit. So because she wants to put 50 in each one, let's divide the upper bound by 50, yeah? And if you do that, you'll get a value of 121 bottles. Okay, number 9. So Jan invests $800 at a rate of 3% per year, simple interest. So, and by the way, guys, simple interest is not the same as compound interest, yeah? That's one key thing to remember. Now, calculate the value of investment at the end of 4 years. So simple interest, the way it works is that for every year, you just multiply by the number of years, the rate by the number of years. So because we've got 4 years, 3 times 4 is 12. So that means 800 is going to increase by 12%. So it'll just be 800 times 1.12. This is the shortcut method, yeah? And when you do that, you get $896. Done. So the water tank in the shape of a cuboid has length 1.5 meters and width 1 meter. The water in the tank is 60 centimeters deep. So we've already got 2 different units. Calculate the number of liters of water in the tank. Now to find the number of liters, and because we're working with centimeters and meters, the relationship between them is that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 centimeter cubed. Okay, so personally, because you're working in centimeter cube, it's good to convert these upper units into centimeters. So let's do it. So in the shape of the cuboid, we know that the water in the tank is 60 centimeters deep, so let's put 60 here. To convert these two into centimeters, just multiply them by 100. So 100 times 1.5 is 150, and 100 times 1 is 100. In order to calculate the number of liters of water in this tank, we need to find the volume. And the volume of the cuboid is just multiplying all these 3 digits across. So 60 times 100 times 150 will give us, in the calculator, 900,000. Okay, and this is 900,000 centimeter cubed. Now notice how they want answers in liters. So to go from centimeter cubed to liters, we need to divide it by 1,000. So dividing by 1,000, you're going to get 900 liters. And that's it. Okay, number 11. These are the first 5 terms in a sequence. So we've got 8, 11, 14, 17, and 20. So we can see they're always going up in threes. Okay. Find the next term. Easy. So add 3 to 20, you get 23. Yeah. B. Find an expression for the nth term. Now the nth term has a unique formula, but I'm just going to show you a super easy way to do it, so you don't even need to use a formula. So to find the nth term, just find what the common difference is, which is 3, so it'll be 3n. And then a nice trick is, since we know it's plus 3 across, we can go back by 3 to find something known as the 0th term. And if you subtract 3, you get 5, so it'll be plus 5. And that's it, guys. You're done number 11. Okay, number 12. Find the integer values of n, and by the way, integer is a keyword which literally means whole numbers, that satisfies the inequality of which tells us that we've got 4n between 2 values. Now, as always, the best way to solve this is to always try and make n the subject, or x, or whatever you're finding, yeah? And to make n the subject, let's go ahead and divide everything by 4, just to simplify this equation, yeah? So 28 divided by 4 gives us 7. 15 divided by 4, put in decimal, you get 3.75. Now, all they really want is the whole numbers between these values, yeah? So between 3.75 and 7, we have an n values of 4, 5, and 6. Now, if this question said less than equals 7, you would include the 7 too. But because it's just less, in other words, they don't include 7, we don't include 7. Okay, next question. So this one is a bit different to other questions. The main reason is that I would have to draw and do some construction, which is actually quite challenging on the computer. So what I'm going to do is show you guidelines to how to do it and how to get the answer. So I hope this question proves to be useful. So let's have a look. So the diagram shows a triangle ABC and an arc with a center C and radius 6.5. So we're talking about the radius from C to here. So I've already gone ahead and measured it, and this is exactly 6.5 centimeters, yeah? So it's even good to label it. Okay, from here to here. Now, using a straight edge and a compasses only, construct the locus of points. So locus means like a distance away from lines inside the triangles that are equidistant from BA to BC. Now, the only thing you have to really be concerned about is equidistant. Equidistant literally means 2 lengths which are equal in distance. So you want to find pretty much a split between BA and BC. So we're looking at something visually that looks a bit like this. Okay, that's what we were looking for, but yeah, that's kind of bent. Now to do this, the key idea is to place this compass over here on the edge of B, the pin on B, and literally spin it around any distance, doesn't matter how long the compass has to be. Put your pencil here and then mark a semicircle. So let's do like an arch, like over here. And it should cut over here as well. Okay, now all you want to do is again put your compass here and then draw another arc. So this time an arc over here, and then again put the compass over here and then draw another arc crossing over here. And then what should happen is that when you draw your arc should intersect at some point, and this point over here you draw a straight line from B and it will connect. I mean, this is quite bent, but it will connect, and then you can literally extend the line, and eventually you're going to get a distance equal from BA to BC. So this is split in the middle with equal angles here. And if you do that, it will look a bit like this. Okay, this is the correct form. Okay, so from here to here. So let's assume that these two are all the same angles, yeah? Okay, so that's part A done. Now part B. Shade the region inside a triangle that is more than 6.5 centimeters from C. So remember, you got the radius from here, all of here. So all of this is a radius of 6.5, thankfully. So more than that, so we can't include this region, so it has to be outside, yeah? And nearer to BA than to BC. Well, BA is this top line, so they want to shade this region here. Yeah, and that's it. That's all you have to do, guys. We do not shade the other regions because this part is nearer to BA and is greater than 6.5 centimeters from the radius of point C. Okay, number 14. So without using your calculator, all in bold marks, work out 3/8 divided by 2 1/4. So when it says don't use your calculator, actually go ahead and put this in your calculator. And when you do that, you'll get an answer which is 1/6. And this is the target of what you want to get. Okay, so this is something you should do instinctively. Now let's go ahead and try and show this step by step. So to do this, first things first, yeah, let's straight away convert the mixed number into a fraction. And by the way, I would put this mixed number in your calculator. So you can get 3/8 divided by, and entering 2 1/4 in your calculator, you get 9/4. Okay. And now to deal with division, the cool rule is that you need to use the KFC method. Yep. Keep, flip, and change. So we keep the 3/8, we flip the 9/4 and change the division sign. So it'd be 3/8 times 4/9. So you always flip this fraction and flip this to a times. And that's it. Now all you do is just times it head on. So 3 times 4 is 12, and then 8 times 9 is 72. And then put this in your calculator and you get 1/6. And that's it. You've literally done it. Okay, number 15. Write as a single fraction in the simplest form. Now notice here how we're adding fractions, yeah? When we add fractions, all we care about is having common denominators, okay? So looking on the left hand side, we know that it's missing an x plus 2, so that's what we're going to multiply up and down by. And on the right side is missing a 3, so that's what we multiply up and down by. Now doing that, if we multiply left side by x plus 2, we're going to get x minus 5 times x plus 2 all over 3 times x plus 2. So that's the left side. Now for the right hand side of the fraction, if you multiply these two by 3, 6 times 3 is 18 over 3 times x plus 2. Now for these kind of questions, it's not important to expand the bottom half, by the way, yeah? We can just leave as it is, because you may be able to simplify it later on. Now to finish this off, all we have to do now is literally expand this double bracket. So using that FOIL method, we just do x times x and then x times 2, minus 5 times x and minus 5 times 2. And this will give us, let's do it over here, x squared plus 2x and then minus 5x, that gives us a minus 3x minus 10. And then we can add it to the next fraction, which is plus 18. The reason why is because since you've got common denominators, you can just combine the top. So this left side plus the right side. And all of that over 3 times x plus 2. Now we're going to see if we can simplify this further, yeah? So let's have a look. So we've got minus 10 plus 18. That breaks down to 8. So we're going to have x squared minus 3x plus 8 over 3 times x plus 2. Can we simplify this further? Let's see. 8 and, let's see. So the way this works, if you can factorize this one, would be good. So we look at the 8. So we ask ourselves, what two numbers multiply to make 8? Well, we got 8 and 1 or 4 and 2. But looking at both these pairs cannot give you a 3 if you added or minus any of them. So actually, we're just going to assume that this is the most simplified solution you can get. And we leave that there. Alright, number 16. So for these types of problems, it's always good to do each line at a time, or every sentence at a time, to try and deduce it as we go along. So let's have a look. So the diagram shows an isosceles triangle ABC with AB equal AC. Isosceles means two lengths are the same. In this case, we got AB and AC. That also means that both angles are the same. So if this is X, this is also X. So that's actually going to help us. Now it says that LCM, so like this line here, LCM and BCN. So let's see, BCN. So BCN are straight lines. Again, that's also helpful. And LCM is parallel to AB. So this means this line is parallel to this line. Okay, what that tells us there, if you got two parallel lines, this takes the form of something known as the Z shape, or the corresponding angles. So if this is 56, then this would also be 56. That's just properties of parallel lines. Another thing to note is that because you got two straight lines like this, if you got an angle here, A, then this would also be A. If this was B, this would also be the same as B. Looking carefully, we have 56 plus X must equal Y. So we have 56 plus X must equal Y. We also have a triangle here, ABC. And we know that all angles in a triangle adds up to 180 degrees. So we can say 56 plus X or plus 2X must equal 180. Okay, so we have two equations. Now from this, we can find the value of X and Y. So alright, let's do this part first. Let's calculate X. So to find X, we firstly got minus 56 across. So 180 minus 56. This will give us 2x equals 124. And then halving this value to find x, we get 62 degrees. So that's good. Now we got 62. To find y, let's use this equation. So we got 56 plus 62, and that gives us y. So adding your answer to the previous one, 62 plus 56, and we get 118 degrees. Okay, number 17. So t to the power x times t to the power 2 equals t to the power 10. Find the value x. Now this is straightforward if you know power rules. The rule is if you're timesing terms, you add the powers. So adding the powers, you got x plus 2, and that must equal 10. Yep, and that's it. And then subtracting 2, you get x equals 8. Yeah, not bad. B. Simplify 4 over x to the power of negative 2. Now, one thing I want to say here, when you have something to the power of a negative, the answer is definitely not negative. Negative always means the reciprocal, and reciprocal means you flip it upside down. So negative 2 becomes positive 2. Now, all you want to do is literally, now this becomes a positive, so this means you want to square everything inside the bracket. So x to the power 2 is x squared, 4 to the power 2, so 4 squared is 16. Yep, and we leave it like that. Next one, simplify a to the power 3 b7 divided by a to the power 6 b to the power 2. So like the first problem where we added the powers, in this case we subtract the powers when we divide. So do it term by term. So a3 minus a6 gives us a to the negative 3. b7 take away b2 is going to be b to the power 5. Yep, and that's all. And now 18. Solve the simultaneous equations. So these are my favorite ones. The way to do this so easily is to literally look at the x values and try and make them the same. Now one's a 2x and one's a 5x. Now they both match up at the value of 10x. And to get them to 10x, we multiply the first one by 5 and the second one by 2. And if you do that, times in the first equation by 5, you're going to get 10x plus 15y equals minus 60. For the second equation, times it by 2, you're going to get 10x plus 4y equals 28. And now lastly, to get this done nice and easy, we want to subtract these equations. And when you subtract them, and this is the point of simultaneous equations, it will literally eliminate these two. And then you're left with 15y take away 4y is 11y, minus 60 minus 28 is minus 88. And therefore, y equals minus 8, because you got to divide by 11. Okay, so we found y, which is good, but notice how you got two slots. So you've also got to find x. Now this is straightforward. Since you got the value y, you can essentially plug it to any equation you see. So I'm going to plug into the first equation, okay? Just for convenience sakes. So we've got 2x plus 3y equals minus 12. So I'm going to write here. So instead of y, we're going to replace it with minus 8. So 2x plus 3 times minus 8 equals minus 12. And you can probably see that this has become a simple equation now. So timesing 3 with minus 8, you get minus 24 equals minus 12. And then adding 24 across, we're going to get 2x equals minus 12 plus 24 is plus 12. Halving this, you get 6. So x equals 6. Okay, number 19. So use the quadratic formula to solve the given equation here. And you must show all your working and give your answers correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so the quadratic formula is quite straightforward. Okay, or maybe not. If you know it, then always write it down first. And it's always a good idea to write your formulas first. So it will be minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, a, b, and c represents the values in front of every single term, like 3x squared, 7x, and minus 11. So we say that the coefficient a, which is the value in front of the x squared, is 3. B is the value in front of the x, which is 7. And c is the last term, which is minus 11. Now, all you want to do, guys, is just substitute these values into this quadratic formula. So you can say, all right, x equals minus b, so minus 7, plus minus the square root of b squared, so 7, wrap it in a bracket squared, minus 4 times a times minus 11, which is c. And it's all over 2 times a. Now, a good idea is to always wrap it in a bracket like this, yeah? Reason why is that when you input into the calculator, there's literally a 0% chance you get it wrong. And that's what you want to be at. Now, when you do this, literally write all of this in. And for the plus minus bit, make sure you put a plus, okay? And see what that gives you. And when you do enter in the calculator, you're going to get an answer something like 1.0756 ... They want the answer to 2 decimal places. So literally the first 2 digits after the decimal. So you want to round up, and because you got 5 here, you want to round up the 7 to an 8. So it'll be 1.08. If you replace the plus sign in your calculator with a negative sign, you get something like minus 3.4089. And that's and again, same idea approaches. You want to round up to 2 dp. So you go an 8 after the 0. So round up 40 to 41. So it'd be minus 3.41. And that's it, guys. These are your 2 x values for this question. Okay, number 20. So you're given 2 matrices, M and N. And part A wants us to find M times N. So they're always abbreviated as MN. Now, to multiply these 2 matrices, you have to follow a very specific rule. Okay? The key idea is to always do the row against the column. Right? And then each of this will represent a position. So let's go ahead and check this out, yeah? So it's going to be a 2 by 2. So when we do row times column, it's going to be 8 times the 4, which is 32. And then 2 times the minus 3 is minus 6. So 32 minus 6 is going to give us a 26. Now the next bit, again, we just changed another column. It's going to be 8 and 2 and pick another one, minus 1 and 5. And same thing applies. It will be 8 times minus 1, which is minus 8. And then 2 times 5, which is 10, so plus 10. And again, minus 8 plus 10 is 2. Now, position is very important. If you're not sure where to position it, you'll probably notice that some of these positions collide, like 2 and minus 1. These are basically overlapping. And when you overlap them, it will appear on the overlapping position. So that's the main idea. But let's just keep going, yeah? So next one, we're going to do the next row. So it'll be 7 and 3 with 4 and minus 3. Do the same thing. So it'll be 7 times 4, which is 28. 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. 28 take away 9 is 19. And the last one, again, let me just delete this bit. We're going to do now 7 and 3 with minus 1 and 5. And then do 7 times minus 1 is minus 7. 3 times 5 is positive 15. And then minus 7 add 15 is 8. And that's it, guys. That's your MN matrix found. Now the next bit, B, is known as the inverse of M. And there's 2 steps. The most crucial step, and this is the one that's forgotten, is to calculate the determinant of M. Now determinant M is literally something known as the pure raw value. And you find it by calculating the diagonal, multiplying the diagonal, and subtracting it with the other diagonal. So in this case, we do 8 times 3 minus 2 times 7. And when you evaluate that, you're going to have 8 times 3, which is 24, minus 2 times 7, which is 14, and it's going to give us a 10. Now this is the value we're going to use into the inverse. And to obtain the inverse, we say, all right, the inverse matrix is going to be 1 over the determinant, and it's always 1 over, so it'll be 1 over 10. And as for the matrix inside, all we're going to do now is move the M matrix values around. So for instance, we highlight 8 and 3, and we're going to swap their position, so it'll be 3 and 8. And for the other two numbers, like 2 and 7, we just stick a negative sign, so it'll be a -2 and -7. And that's it, guys. That's literally how you find the product and the inverse. All right, number 21. Okay, so it looks like we have something known as an exponential curve. And this curve is used to measure against the number of years and the value of a given investment in dollars. So let's read the sentence below. So it says here, when Heidi was born, her grandfather invested some money in an account that paid some compound interest. The graph shows the exponential growth of the investment. So one key feature of exponential growth is that it's always increasing. So it increases slowly, then after some point in time, it just shoots up. Okay? And just a little key idea. We can see that the investment started at year 0, of course. So this is when he put the money in the bank. And this was at a value of 20. And eventually just got all the way up after 60 years to a value of something well over 360, around near 380. So let's see what the question was. So A, use the graph to find the original amount of the money invested. Well, the original amount is at times 0, so it'll be $20. B, 2, the number of years it took for the original amount to double. Now, the original amount we found out was 20. We're trying to find how long it takes to double it. So double 20 is 40, and 40 occurs over here. And that means it took about 14 years. Okay, easy. Now use the graph to find the value of the investment after 54 years. So we just have to go straight to 54, which occurs around here. And going upwards, 54 years is over here, this mark here. And that's equivalent to 280. All right, not bad. Okay, now looking at B. This account earned compound interest at a rate of R% per year. So this is a compound interest formula. Use your answers to part AI, so the 20 value, and part AII, the 14 years, to write an equation in terms of R. You do not have to solve the equation. Okay, so what it's trying to tell us is that how did we raise $20 after 14 years to get $40? Well, this is part of the usual formula, which is the original value, 1 plus or minus some rate, in this case R%, because we're increasing it by some percent, and this will give us a new value. And because we've got number of years involved, it's going to be power 14. So in this case, all you do is replace your original value and your new value with what happened to them. So the original amount invested was $20. We know we're increasing because it's a compound interest at 1 plus some R% rate. And this is for 14 years. And it will give us a new value of $40. And that's it, guys. You don't have to solve it, but this is what they're talking about. So we've got a group of 200 people who were asked which city they would like to visit next. Now here are the results. So we've got London, Paris, New York, and Tokyo. And these are the number of people that visit each of these cities or would like to visit. So we've got a person from the group which is chosen at random. Write down the probability that this person would like to visit either Paris or Tokyo next. So in this kind of question, we got 48 people that wants to go to Paris and 46 that wants to go to Tokyo. Because you want to go to either one, we have a total number of people, which means 48 plus 46. We got 94 people that would like to visit, and this is out of 200 people. And that's it, guys. This is literally the probability. So you got 94 out of 200 chance that out of all these people, they will be at Paris or Tokyo next. Okay. By the way, you don't have to simplify this. You could leave it like this and move on. Now B, 2 people are chosen at random from the group of 200. Find the probability that one person would like to visit London and the other would like to visit New York. Okay, so this is important, London and New York. Give your answer as a percentage. Now, if you want to visit London or New York, it doesn't specify the order. So this means that this person could go to one of the people can go to London and the other could go to New York, or they can go to New York and then the other go to London. So the way this functions is that we always have to think of this as 2 separate probabilities, yeah, in any order. So you have to rewrite orders. Now, all you have to do literally is finally work out the probability of them going to London first, We're going to London, you got 50 out of 200 people. Now if that guy went to London, and that means you got one less person in the group now, so 199 people. And the chance of him going to New York would be 56. And that's it. Then you've done this probability. Now for the second one, New York and London, you do the same thing. So you've got 200 people, probability going to New York would be 56. So 56 out of 200 people. Now that that guy's going to New York, you're left with 199 people. And the chance of that person going to London is 50. So yeah, so you can probably see that you get the same result. And in this case, you could just work out the top one and double it. But for me, it's always safe to do them separately, yeah? So when you work out both of these fractions, you get an answer over here, and you get an answer over here. And all you want to do is add up your total probabilities. And when you add up these probabilities, you'll get a decimal answer of something like 0.14 ... And then all you have to do in your calculator is times your answer by 100 and then round it to one decimal place. So you get something like 14.1%. Okay guys, final question of the paper. So number 23. We're given three different functions of f, g, and h with their own expressions. Now they tell us that h at the point of 3x, so when you replace x with 3x, you get k to the power x. Find the value k. Now in this scenario, let's just highlight hx, yeah? It tells us that when you replace x with a 3x, so you have h bracket 3x, this means that the x value is now 3x. So it'll be 3 to the power of 3x. And to make this look more clear, 3 to the power of 3 is 27, so we've got 27 to the power of x. Now, in order to find the value k, we just look at both of these. This is k to the power x, 27 to the power x. So that means k must clearly be 27. Now b. Find the value of x when the function fx equals g at the point 2. So essentially, you just have to equate fx with gx, but replace gx with an x value of 2. Let's try that out, yeah? So let's replace fx with 7 plus 3x. Let's make it equal to the g function when x is 2. So we've got 2 to the power of 4. And 2 to the power of 4 is 16. Now all you want to do is just rearrange and solve for x. So to rearrange it nicely, we always have to move the 7. We will move the 7 across the equal sign by minusing 7. So it would be 16 take away 7, which is 9. And then to isolate x, we've got to divide by 3. So we're going to get 9 over 3, which is 3. And that's your answer. X equals 3. And now finally, this notation is known as the inverse function of f. So all we're concerned about is the f here, 7 plus 3x. So let's go ahead and write it down for a second, yeah? Fx equals 7 plus 3x. To obtain, to obtain an inverse of this, all you have to do is firstly rewrite this in terms of y. So fy equals 7 plus 3y, and equate it now to something known as x. And when you do this, the aim is to always rearrange and make y the subject, because when you rearrange and make y the subject, you automatically obtain the inverse. And that's it, guys, you're done. So let's go ahead and solve that equation. Yes, so 7 plus 3y equals x. Rearranging this, we could minus 7 across and then divide by 3, and you're going to have y equals x minus 7 over 3, and that's going to be x minus 7 over 3, and we're done.